Hey everybody, it's a new day and we're going to talk about the Royal Rumble 1998. The Royal Rumble back in 98 when it was built around one man. And behind that year, Pain, four-letter word, Pain, Pain. It had Stone Cold Steve Austin's head and the word pain with a bunch of nails screwed in all the way around on the cover. And that's pretty much telling you what the event was about. It was Stone Cold being a marked man, and he's pretty much the bullseye. His head. This would be the case for the next 2 years, 98 and 99. The whole Rumble would be built around Austin. But this year, in 1998, it was a little bit more obvious than in 1999 who would win because Austin's star was rising so high in 97 that who knows, even in the year 2000, he could have beat a four in a row because he actually won in 2001 as well. So it's really amazing to see how over Steve Austin was at the time. This Rumble took place on January the 18th, 1998, in front of 18,500 fans in the old HP Pavilion in San Jose, California. We'll go over some facts that I have written in my review from my review that I wrote a decade ago on WrestlingDVDNetwork.com. Once again, that website's run by Daniel B. I have no affiliation with that website anymore. These are my old reviews. I watched Royal Rumble 98 last night, so I'm going to mix my old reviews with my audio review, and we're going to go there. So I can't play it work. So that's why it's my review. I'm allowed to do that. I just say that for a disclaimer in every video, just in case. Just in case. All right, let's go. Hit like and subscribe if you like these reviews, and if you want me to continue and you want to help me grow, that would be I'd really appreciate that as I go along with the 1998 Royal Rumble review. Triple H and China were not entrants in this Royal Rumble, but despite appearing at the event. Triple H was already on crutches, so he was selling an injury. The build-up to the Rumble itself featured on Steve Austin, as I talked about the cover already, and the ending segment of Raw before the Rumble had Steve Austin come through the crowd and dominate pretty much everybody in the ring with stunners. Jack Dolan was currently kicked by Phineas Godwin during his elimination, resulting in the referee suffering a concussion. That's something I didn't remember. Jim Ross and the King called the action together for the first time at this event for just those two. They had Vince McMahon the year before in 97, but these two as a solo group, this was one of the only years they were together at the Rumble event. Mike Tyson was in a skybox before the whole Austin DX storyline, and he would be on the next night on Raw. And we'd all remember what happened with Tyson and Austin the next night on Raw after this. So the opening contest was between Vader and the artist formerly known as Goldust. This was quite interesting, because Goldust, he was a mixture of Marilyn Manson, Prince, Leonardo the Ninja Turtle, Alice Cooper, and Jeffrey Dahmer, all in one. Was over in San Jose. Vader came out to a huge pop, and these two had a pretty decent match. I remember it going about 10 to 15 minutes. Let's see how accurate I am. No, 7 minutes and 47 seconds. All right, then I was quite off, but not by a lot. I just watched this back again, and I remember it being a bit longer, but maybe it felt longer. It was good action and decent in parts, but nothing more than a solid opener. I'll give that 2 stars. I gave it a star and 3/4 before in my written review, but after watching it again, I'll give it 2 stars. Decent opener. The next match is funny because Dave Meltzer gave this match 3.5 stars, and looking back at it, you can see why, because this was actually very, very impressive. Max Mini Mosiak Nova versus Batalon El Torito and Tarantula in a special 6-man midget tag with Sonny as a special referee. Lawler made about 1 million jokes during this match. He said, "The Sharks play hockey in this rink. I wonder if Max played, he'd have to be on an ice cube. If Max Mini and Sonny ever had a baby, it'd be good. It'd give Max somebody to look up to." I saw Max Mini in the back before the show went on the air, and he was reading a book, Little Woman. Don't worry, I heard Max Mini has been hurt before. I heard he tried to commit suicide by jumping off a curb. Anyway, keeps going on and on and on. The King was getting his jokes in while the crowd was particularly dead, other than when the midgets would bump into Sonny. That got a large reaction because Sonny was looking fine on this event in keynote words. Anyway, back in the ring, Max Money capitalized off of El Torito missing his mark and jumped off the top of the Head Scissors takeover into an arm drag cradle and got the victory with that combination. So in the end, Max pinned Torito with a cradle at 7:49. Hard to believe that it was just 2 seconds longer than the opener, but it felt a lot shorter. And that's not a short joke. That wasn't a short joke. That was just. And I rated it 3 stars, so a half star down from Meltzer, I guess. So the next match had a lot of good build to it, and it was the first of many of 1998 between the two, The Rock and Ken Shamrock. Rock was getting over big time, but he was doing it in a slow pace, and it would kind of culminate around SummerSlam '98, where the fans started to repeat after him and notice how cool he was. Uh, the Rock was really making steps towards being a cool bad guy right around this time. He met Ken Shamrock, who was the babyface in this match. Rock would do amazing heel mannerisms during the match with his body language, with his trying to be dirty during the match. The Rock had the nation on his side. Shamrock had just, his ultimate fighting background, and he just had his suplexes, and the Rock and Shamrock had a good match here. It's the bottom line. Shamrock did appear to win, and he was announced as the winner by Mike Chioda, but that was after The Rock went into his trunks and put brass knuckles into his, and the ref found it on him, therefore disqualifying him at 10:53. And The Rock kept the title, and it was a really interesting ending. I gave the match 2 stars and 3/4, but after a rewatch, I'll give that 3 stars. So 2 3-star matches in a row after a 2-star match between Vader and Goldust. The Legion of Doom versus the New Age Outlaws. Talk about old school versus new school. At this point, the Outlaws weren't over yet, but they were just got together in the last few weeks. They put the LOD through a table. The post screw job Raws, they were getting together and out park to try to be hip with the new fans, and it worked. But here at this event, they were very, very. I don't want to say, but they're very new, so the crowd didn't know if they were cool or not. They were just taking it as it comes. The Outlaws came out in jerseys for the Green Bay Packers because the Packers and 49ers were playing in the Super Bowl that next week. So they came out wearing those jerseys and to get heat. And it worked as the LOD went against them, but the ending didn't favor the LOD. It favored the Outlaws because Road Dogg hit Animal with a steel chair, and Animal pinned Gun after slam at 7:56. Second straight DQ. Fans weren't happy with the decision, and in the long run, this will be remembered nothing more than a filler match before the Rumble. 1.5 stars. 1.5 stars there. All right, now we're ready for the Royal Rumble. Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie started it off, and they went back and forth with hardcore mannerisms. The first time the Royal Rumble ever started off with using hardcore weapons, chairs. They went outside the ring, I believe, a couple times. If not, they stayed in the ring other than to get their weapons. They had trash chairs, you name it, and chainsaws as Terry Funk and Cactus Jack began the ring. And then Tom Brandy, who used to be known as Salvatore Sincere, came out at number 3. And he lasted just a few moments before going over the top rope from Cactus Jack. The Rock came out at number 4, and they always seem like they always push somebody new in the Royal Rumble matches, and this was The Rock's year. Steve Austin's year was last year in '97. This was The Rock's year to really take over and be dominant, as his The Nation theme hit at number 4, and The Rock went to work on Cactus Jack. Headbanger Mosh came out next. Rock was having it. Rock must have hated being in the same ring as Mick Foley the next year. 2 years from this in '99 that I read. Phineas Godwin came out next. Never mind about that point. Phineas Godwin came out next, and he got a ton of heel heat. The fans didn't really like the Godwins anymore. They went back to doing Southern Justice was their name. Southern Justice instead of the Godwins. The Rumble roster isn't very good here in 1998. Let's just say that, and it was pretty obvious who would win. This the whole idea of building the Rumble around Austin, it was new at the time, so it wasn't exactly played out. Every entrant, the fans were waiting for that glass to break. Anyways, Bradshaw came out, as did 8 Ball from the DOA. But then at 9, the sole survivor, the Blackheart, Owen Hart, came out to a great pop. Mike Tyson stood up in his box and clapped. But then Jeff Jarrett from behind and Cornette attacked him. And all of a sudden, Jim Ross, who called him the sole survivor, was really putting over how Owen Hart didn't deserve this. Owen got the best pop so far in the Rumble. You know, he had a ton of momentum coming up for the screw job because he was a sole survivor. He was the last member of the Hart Foundation. And the fans really had Owen over around this time. They had the Owen and Vince rivalry going, and yeah, it was definitely a great it was a great sight to see that he got a good pop. Sorry, but I'm a little bit my nose. I got a little bit stuffy nose. I apologize. Steve Blackman was number 10. Then D'Lo came out. Then the man known as Wild Man Mark Merrow, who now is now known as the martial arts man, or the boxer, I should say, Marvelous Mark Merrow. He came out. Then Shamrock came out. Then Headbanger Thrasher came out. Then Mankind came out, which is very interesting because Cactus Jack had already been eliminated. So Mankind, for the first time in Royal Rumble, comes out as a persona. So the first time ever that someone could come out of someone else happens here at number 16. And JR says he's a little confused. As that's just a poking light on the fun that he was already eliminated as Cactus Jack. Goldust came out, Jeff Jarrett came out, and then Owen Hart ran right back out and had him eliminated. Ross says on commentary, Owen Hart has won every championship but the big one. Jarrett thought he had eliminated Owen, so he strutted until Owen threw him over the top ropes to one of the biggest pops of the night. That was a good moment where Double J did his little strut, and then Owen Hart, just while he was strutting, just threw him in the same direction over the ropes. However, this good feeling of Owen Hart coming back into the ring was cut short because Helmsley came out, and Helmsley and Chyna hit Owen with the crutch, and Owen fell over the rope to the outside. This pushed the Owen Triple H feud, so it's not all the way bad, but we would have liked Owen to stay in there a little bit longer. If I was booking the Rumble, I would have had Owen stay until the last few because it made sense at the time. Owen was one of the most over faces on the roster at this time, so I would have had Owen stay in the floor, but that's just me. Anyway, there was a number that there was a number that but there was a buzzer that happened and nobody came out at this number, and everyone was speculating if it has been Austin because the fans brewing, and there was all this talk about how people were going to attack Austin before he came out, and so the number went by and nobody came out. Then Savio Vega came out, and then all of a sudden another nation member came out. Tons of nation members in this Rumble. It'd be kind of like the right to censor in 2001. And then all of a sudden the glass hits and King goes. There was a monster pop in San Jose, and Stone Cold Steve Austin came out behind everyone who was waiting on him. He attacked Merrow from behind and threw him out. Austin then tossed out 8 Ball. Stone Cold then kicked at Thrasher, and the place just blew up as the fans were going nuts on their feet. He gave Thrasher and D'Lo a low blow. He took off his vest finally and then choked out D'Lo Brown with it. Austin then sent D'Lo Brown face first into the corner turnbuckle. Henry Godwin came out next and went right after Austin as he was searching for him for about 38 minutes. Bradshaw had been in the ring at this point for almost 40 minutes. Savio Vega and his Boricuas went straight for Austin as they with Savio. The Rock on Austin went at it for a bit, and the crowd screamed as they thought Austin was gone for a minute, but he went through the middle rope. Then all of a sudden, Mrs. Foley's boy comes out for a header as Dude Loves theme hit, and then at number 29, Chains of the DOA came out. At number 30 was the man they call Vader. The final four was Austin and Dude Love, who are former tag team champions, Farouk and The Rock. So this is that spot that I would have had Owen Hart at, but I would have replaced him with either Dude Love or Dude Love being in there at. You're in there for a third time, three times a charm. So I get you're being in the final four. Plus, Mick Foley was a big name at this point. Farouk, they wanted him to become than they was when they wanted to separate The Rock and Farouk. They wanted Farouk to be this really good guy on his own, and they wanted The Rock to be a bad guy, and maybe they'd meet down the road. But Farouk never got over as the babyface as they would have wanted. Rock and Austin were left as the final two, and Steve Austin stunned The Rock and then threw him over to a thunderous roar at 55-24 to win his first Royal Rumble. Of the three, he'd win. The place goes crazy, and Austin's won back-to-back Rumbles. When going back watching this, evaluating Owen Hart stuff, three appearances, some Nation action, Austin, and the storyline in the Rumble match, The Rock and his impressive performance. This Rumble was a bit better than I remember, but still nowhere near one of the best ones that I would call one of the best for a Rumble match. Would you consider the roster in it as well? Tyson then in the box calls him Cold Stone, and Jim Ross says, Tyson's obviously a big fan. So the match got 2 stars and 3/4, and I think I'll keep it at that. The main event was up next. It was Triple H and China accompanying Shawn Michaels to the ring, who was the WWF champion of DX, facing The Undertaker in Undertaker's special casket match, the second casket match in Royal Rumble history. The Undertaker lost the first one to Yokozuna in 1994. The last time these two met, they went to Hell in a Cell. They went to Hell and back inside Hell in a Cell in 1997. A nice job up to this match with Kane deciding if Kane was in cahoots with The Undertaker or not. Kane was not at this event in the Rumble or in a match, but he was still at this show. You'll see in just a bit. The Undertaker locked up with HBK, and they had a cold stare, and these two have such great chemistry as you'd see in later years. But even back then, they had, look at what happened at Hell in a Cell. People still say to this day that the original was the best. Was it the most dangerous, and was it the most brutal? No, but was it the best? It's arguable. I like The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar from No Mercy 2. You can't go wrong with neither. Just great chemistry in this casket match. Shawn Michaels would hurt his back. It's worth noting because it took 4 years off his career. He flipped over the rope and hit his lower back on the edge of the casket. And Shawn, good credit to him for finishing the match. Kane came out to help his brother. Also during the match, New Age Outlaws and Los Boricuas attacked The Undertaker. But when Kane came out, he came to save. He dominated everybody in the ring. Then Kane turned around and stared at The Undertaker as if he was Michael Myers. And Kane went into pose and struck Taker with a right hard hand. The place booed as Kane turned on his brother. Kane chokeslammed Taker into the casket, and Shawn shut the lid at 20:37 as the place booed. Entertaining match, great stuff here. After the match, Kane and Paul Bearer padlocked the casket with The Undertaker inside and lit it on fire. This match was great. 3 stars, 3/4. I'm going to stay with that one. And the final rating for this Rumble, 6 out of 10. This doesn't hold up well in the sense where the Rumble is as entertaining as the years that would follow, but it took place during a time when wrestling was really picking up again in North America due to the Monday Night Wars. Thanks to the character of Austin getting over and having the Rumble built around him, that obviously had some hype to the event. But the undercard leaves a lot to be desired, and the actual Rumble itself, when you look at the talent roster, wasn't exactly the greatest. So 6 out of 10 is what I grade this Royal Rumble. I'd be interested in hearing your in the comments section. You grade this Royal Rumble. Was it one of the best? Was it one of the worst? Please hit like and subscribe for any more reviews. This was 1998. I'm Brett Mix. That's my opinion. We'll see you on the next one.